So I had a handyman working on my roof yesterday, and I was also babysitting my nephew. And my nephew is bad. But anyways, while I was in the living room watching TV, the handyman knocked on my door to complain about my nephew bothering him. So I had asked him what my nephew was doing because he's supposed to be outside playing with his friends, not bothering my handyman. So my handyman told me that he was working on top of my house and he accidentally dropped a hammer. So he climbed down the ladder to get the hammer. And that's when my nephew told the handyman that his dad would have had two hammers, so he wouldn't have to climb down the ladder when he dropped one. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not so bad. My nephew just bragging about his father. But anyways, I told the handyman that I'll talk to my nephew, and I promised that my nephew would leave him alone. So my handyman went back outside and started back working, but like 10 minutes later, he knocked on my door again. And this time he said he accidentally dropped his screwdriver, and when he climbed down the ladder to get it, my nephew was standing right there. Then my nephew told the handyman that his dad would have had two screwdrivers, so if he dropped one, he wouldn't have to come down the ladder to get it. All I could do was apologize again for my nephew's behavior. So the handyman took my word for it and he went back outside to work on my house. But 15 minutes later, the handyman knocked on my door again to complain about my nephew. So before he could explain anything, I said, "You must have dropped one of your tools again. I am so sorry." He said, "No, this time I had to use the bathroom and I didn't want to bother you, so I went in the bushes." And that's when he said my nephew followed him. And then he said to my nephew, "I suppose your dad has two of these too." My nephew looked at him and said, "Nope, but my dad's twice as big." So one time I was sitting at a bar and a man walked in. He was very well dressed, but he was also drunk. But anyways, when he approached the bar, he started yelling at the bartender. He said, "Hey, bartender, I need a drink for everyone, a drink for me and a drink for yourself." So I guess he was wealthy enough to buy everyone drinks, and I felt lucky that I was sitting at the bar. So anyways, the bartender started pouring everybody drinks, and of course we're all happy because we're getting a drink for free. But when the bartender handed the man the bill, the man was like, "I am so sorry, but I accidentally left my wallet at home." And not too long after that, the bartender just started beating the living daylights out of the man and threw the man out. Now the next night I was sitting at the bar and the same man walked in. And again he started yelling at the bartender to fix everyone a drink. He said, "And also fix a drink for me and a drink for yourself." That's when the bartender started mumbling something under his breath. He said this guy can't be that stupid. And I hope for his sake that he came to pay for last night's drinks too. But he also felt pretty bad about beating the man up the night before, so he just gave him the benefit of the doubt. So the bartender proceeded to pour all the drinks, and again, we all started cheering. And when the bartender handed the man the bill, again, the man said that he left his wallet at home. And again, the bartender proceeded to beat the man up, and this time it was worse. But afterwards, the bartender still kicked the man out. Now on the third night, the same man came back to the bar, and the bartender couldn't believe his eyes. And the man had the nerve to tell the bartender to fix everyone a drink. And then he said, "Can you also fix a drink for me?" Now the bartender just started grinning. He said, "What, no drink for me tonight?" That's when the man looked at him, and then he said, "Nah, man, you get too violent when you drink." I remember about a month ago I went out to eat by myself. And while I was sitting alone in the restaurant, a waiter brought a bottle of wine to my table. Now I was confused because I was still going over the menu and I didn't order anything. And on top of that, it was the most expensive wine on the menu. So before the waiter left, I tried to get him to take the bottle of wine back. And that's when the waiter told me not to worry about it. And then he pointed at a man that was sitting across the room. Apparently the man sent me a bottle of wine just to start up a conversation. So again, before the waiter left, I asked him for a pen and a piece of paper. I told the waiter to wait right there while I finished writing the man a note. And what I said in the note was, "I will not touch a drop of this wine unless you could assure me that you have 7 inches in your pants." And that was me just trying to flirt. But anyways, I gave the waiter the note and he handed it to the man. And like 3 minutes later, the man gave the waiter a note to hand to me. So I read the note and it said, "Please just return the wine. Because as gorgeous as you are, I'm not cutting off 3 inches for anyone."